Hey there! So today we have another review. This is a beer from Three's Brewing. This is good news, bad news. Very minimalist kind of label on here. This is 6.8% West Coast style IPA. I think it's like Citra Columbus Comet. Really fun. I can't wait to try some West Coast IPA from them. I didn't realize they have like a gajillion locations now. Because I knew they had a bar in Greenpoint. They're in Huntington as well, and they're in like Monaghan, which I don't know. Is it like Westchester? And they're on Governor's Island too. Um, like everywhere. They're everywhere. Yeah, threes. Crushing it. So, West Coast IPA. Something I wish more breweries were doing. Obviously, the shelfies can be very, very good, so why even compete, arguably? But see how threes does. That is a beautiful beer. I mean, look at this. That is a beautiful kind of like light gold color, crystal clear. The clarity on this is insane. I don't know if they have any filtration system or anything, but that is just like a good looking beer. Wonderful. Yeah, smells like it. You just get straight kind of like Pacific Northwest vibes. Again, Goosebumps. It just has this kind of like just like dank or um, dank pine, spruce tips, soily. Not really much fruitiness to talk about, huh? A little bit of like light, kind of maybe the light lychee fruit or something like fruity. You could just it might honestly just be like, despite a clean ferment, it's still an ale ferment, so there might even be just a little bit of like ethyl away, just a little bit of like light, kind of like red apple and hints of this kind of like fruitiness, but really leaning on the dank. Pine for days, cheers. But nothing too offensive, right? Not too much cappy, nothing like that. Soily for days. So they call this West Coast IPA. I mean, obviously the Pacific Northwest is on the West Coast, but for me, then again, some of the West Coast beers sort of taste like this. What was last? One of the last breweries I reviewed was, well, not literally, but one of the last like game changers out there would have been obviously the Pacific Northwest breweries, but also Russian River. I guess they sort of taste like this these days. Like these beers are lean, mean drinking machine. Like no malt to speak of. Saturated hop character, pretty nice. Not as good as the crazy beer like Roaring Tables All American Burger. Had it twice, just ripped it out of the world. With their whirlpool, what are they doing? It's able to just saturate the palate, like heady topper style. Here, you don't get that full experience, but it's still in that range. I mean, at 6.8, you're really at a nice place where, like, I find at 7.5, you really want a big punch, but you're right under 7, so you get really nice drinkability out of it, at least for IPA, right? I think IPA, you need to sort of sit at least at this for ABV. I think like Beer Temple talks about, like, there's ABVs that certain beers hit and navigate at to sort of make things work. Um, you're just not going to get the same like extraction and flavor and impact of a beer of an IPA at like 7.5 versus 5. But then also you're also going to do a Pilsner bad job when you're building it up at 6% instead of 4.5, right? Like there's reason styles sort of fit a certain ABVs, and it's a collective things about like the ingredients and balance. And nice, nice saturation of hops. It just hits. It's soily, a little bit dank, sprucey, quite piney, green, almost a little bit vegetal, almost a little grassy, and it's just rip it at your palate, like give me more green, give me more pine, right? It's just like rip it at you. Pretty nice. I like it. Very sprucey. Like if they call this a winter IPA, I think it would make a lot of sense. It's just so like honestly don't even think you even need to add spruce tips to it. It just has a sprucey note. Um, it's very cologne-y, right? There's a touch of like malt sweetness in there. It helps balance it out, but the spirit's bone dry. It's almost devoid of malt character. I mean, they call West Coast IPAs. Crazy things actually. Um, I think North Park, all the way in California, they're actually just doing lager ferment because they're just like they looked at the ingredients as like, we want so much hops that we don't even want an ale yeast strain that is clean and devoid of flavor. We want to go lower on flavor, so we're just gonna make lager. We're just use lager yeast and have nothing in the way, So it almost tastes like something like that. It's just like all hops, driving, smashing, green, pine, spruce, soil, no malt, no really much ester to talk about. the bitterness is actually pretty fun. I expected this to be like a little bit more bitter, and honestly, I wish it was a little bit more bitter. This is at like a really solid medium bitterness at best, right? Like you think West Coast IPA, you think of just a little bit more scraping bitterness. Just way more, but yeah, definitely not in the medium plus a full range. It's just that's this medium kind of bitterness, and honestly, in balance, I'd find like maybe some pilsners to be more bitter than this, like in the respective style. But it's fun. So they've really pulled back on malt, pulled back on yeast character, pulled back on bitterness, and it's really allowed the expressive hops to really shine through. So they're really pushing on just like letting the hops just rip at your palate. It's really nice. This is a tasty beer. I mean, when you talk about comparison of like, well, there's like large breweries doing some really delicious West Coast IPA. That's still the classic IPA. Still, the portfolio of Stone is still producing tons of that beer. And what are the big what are the big IPAs? Not Imperial Voodoo Ranger, but just regular non-juicy Voodoo Ranger from New Belgium. And I think Firestone Walker or Pizza Pour. I don't know. There's a bunch of West Coast breweries out there that are still just producing some like really tasty classic recipes that are still just West Coast IPA, and like to compete with those, you're doing a good job here. Yeah, that's really good. This one is a solid 96. That is just really tasty. Pull back on bitterness, but like nice saturation of hop character. They've really stripped the beer down. It's really expressing this kind of like flavor that I just don't get anymore, right? Like everything these days is trying to go like mango, pineapple, chalk, hop burn. And here you actually express like hops. Hops, you taste the hops here. It's like expressive in this glass, and it's really nice at a 6.8. Not a huge guy. It could get a little bit bumpy. Could get really big, but instead 6.8, really tasty. 96. Later.